That was an all too common Bengals L, and this is common Bengals W. What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp. It is October 5th, 2025. I will apologize off the bat. I'm battling a nasty sinus infection. Got my trusty Puffs Ultra Softs right here. So you'll see me mute and probably blow my nose here and there. I'm sorry. I try to do it off stream. Not as easy when it's just me, though. But Cincinnati Bengals lose 37-24 to the Detroit Lions, a game in which was far worse than it sounds. I expected 52-3, to be honest with you. And let's go ahead and talk about this game and really take Jake Browning and Zac Taylor to task, because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Now, I will say this right out of the gate. The positive of Jake Browning is he is actually very good at avoiding sacks and moving around in the pocket and escaping and creating more time. Honestly, if Joe Burrow was able to do that to the level that Jake Browning is, I think that it would be hands down. Like, the Bengals would be incredibly more dominant on offense. Like, that's actually a thing that I think Jake Browning does better than Joe Burrow. And that's where it ends. Because what does Jake Browning do with that time? Well, it seems like he closes his eyes and lofts the ball up and somebody else comes down with it. 3 interceptions today. Now, he had 3 passing touchdowns, which is shocking to even think about considering how that first half went. It was miserable. It was bad. It was horrible. It was just some of the worst stuff you have ever seen in your entire life. It was some of the just most embarrassing offense that you could imagine. And a lot of that was on the decision making of Jake Browning. It was horrible. Horrible play calling. Horrible, just honestly, it was a bad idea to keep him in the game after halftime, even despite what he did afterwards. Now, the issue is you have a guy that's barely ever played that is his backup. Mike White is still in the practice squad, but get in your chats. I'm interested to hear what you all think. Feel better soon, says World Not Sus. Thank you. Hi, SRS. Hello. Great to see you. Zac Taylor clearly wants to be fired. Yeah, got too close for comfort there. Jake Browning is the GOAT, though. No, he's not. We suck butt. Yeah, we sure do. Jared Goff is great. I think Jared Goff is a wonderful quarterback. I just think he makes a lot of really smart decisions. 19 for 23 really highlights that. 3 touchdowns. I really think the world of Jared Goff. He's good. You won't hear anything negative about the Lions out of me. But you best believe Ryan Rico getting those reps, baby. 4 punts today. How about this? The Detroit Lions had to punt more than the Bengals did. And Ryan Rico's punts went for an average of 11 yards better. Evan McPherson, fantastic today. Fantastic all season. I'll say that as well. This is the second 6-game stretch of Evan McPherson's career that he hasn't missed a kick. It's the first time he's ever opened the season without a missed kick in the first 5 games. So if he hits all of his kicks next week, it'll be the first 7-game stretch of his career. Evan McPherson, phenomenal. I can say that as well. Charlie Jones, he tries. I'll say that. On special teams, Samaje Perine came through, got some big hits. And Jamar Chase is really great. We'll talk more about that. But the offensive line held up pretty well today, all things considered. And I say all things considered. I say all things considered, saying that also Jake Browning does a really good job of being mobile and getting around. It's just what he does with that time isn't good. And I'm still a little frustrated because I never root for somebody to lose their job, man. Like, I hate that. I hate that. Like, in my day job, I cover people getting fired. And I made a little comment on a show I did the other day, but I asked permission from the person to do that. Like, I don't root for people to lose their jobs. I don't want Zac Taylor to lose his job. I want him to be good enough to where we aren't in a position to want somebody to do that. But at this stage, I do not know how the Cincinnati Bengals can look at Zac Taylor as a play caller and say, that guy should be calling plays. Israel says exactly what's on my mind. Don't care for the last few touchdowns. It doesn't make a difference. Cut Jake Browning, fire Zac Taylor, and Duke Tobin. Well, I don't think they should cut Jake Browning considering where they are, although I'm not sure he would end up on anybody else's roster, but he should be the backup again. And Tim says Jake Browning needs a team around him to be successful. Well, fortunately, he has Mike Gesicki and Jamar Chase and Andre Yoshivas and T. Higgins and Chase Brown and Samaje Perine. He's got a team around him. But what the situation that we're in now is that the Bengals, because they came back and scored a few touchdowns, because they came back and scored 21 points in the fourth quarter, they're going to go next week and say, unwavering, it's still Jake Browning. He's still our guy. Jake Browning should not be that guy. He had a great fourth quarter. He really did. But that does not negate the 11 quarters that preceded it. I was there on Monday. I went to the Monday Night Football game. And I got to be honest with you guys, it compounded everything. I've told this story a number of times on the show, and I'm going to review each stadium. As a season ticket holder last year, my last game of the season was on the road in Dallas. And that's when I decided to not renew my season tickets. I went to that Dallas game and I saw how NFL fans are supposed to be treated. I went to Denver this week and it reinforced that's how NFL fans are supposed to be treated. I'll elaborate when I do the reviews, but ownership does not care about this team. They care enough to get you to show up. Same with the Cincinnati Reds. You best believe that the Cincinnati Reds ownership is the happiest they have been in years, just that they made the playoffs, because that's enough to give you hope. That's enough for them to say, we don't have to invest a lot. This team is good enough to get the playoffs, and I'll be a year better next year. Browning is not good. Jake Browning did not play the first, let's see, 6-7 quarters of the season, and he leads the NFL in interceptions. Man has 8 picks. 8 picks, brother. I think maybe Geno might have more now. But Geno, Flacco has 6. Flacco threw twice as many passes as him. Man, embarrassing. Embarrassing. It got to a point to where anytime Jake Browning threw the ball, it was like an offensive play for the Lions. It was terrible. At one point, Jake Browning had 7 interceptions and less than 100 passes in the season. And again, Zac Taylor should not be calling the plays. The Detroit Lions defense knew immediately that ball was going to go about 2 or 3 yards or it was going to be a screen pass. Spoiler alert, that's how Jake Browning led the league in completion percentage. Time to start selling Reds players in future years. That's what they'll do. Can't wait to go to a Bengals Steelers game in 2 weeks. Oh, buddy. And they gave up a safety on top of that. They're first in ages. They almost gave up 2. They got bailed out on one of them. Now, I want to say that second safety was not on Jake Browning. I'm going to rail. Let me pause. I'm going to rail against the Bengals and Jake Browning today. But that second one was on Dylan Fairchild. It was on Dylan Fairchild for sure. Outside of the fourth quarter, that game was awful, says Charles. 3 interceptions, screw the defense. It did. I mean, listen, I can't believe I'm looking at a situation where I'm actually happy with the defense, all things considered. I'm satisfied with the defense when a team scored 37 points. Well, 2 of that was on the offense. I expected 52 points. I thought it was going to be 52-3. That's how bad I thought it was going to be. But defense gave up like 3.6 yards a carry. When it's David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, I will take 3.6 yards a carry. I am okay with that. Giving up 200, I think it was like 261 yards in the air. All right. Not great, but still. Demetrius Knight was there a lot. Trey Hendrickson had 2 sacks, including forcing a fumble. Joseph Osai had a sack. Miles Murphy had a sack. They were getting to Jared Goff quite a bit. It's just that Jake Browning would repeatedly hand the ball over on some of the most asinine throws that you've ever seen. Like nowhere near Jamar Chase got picked. There was one completed pass that I know you all saw to Mike Gesicki, which, by the way, where the hell's he been all year? Barely used. And Gesicki had to like fall down to catch it. There's a lot of waiting until the play clock is almost up to snap. And then, spoiler, they're going to have to snap the ball there. Like, if you would have told me that the Bengals were able to get to Jared Goff 4 times and sack him, if you would have told me they allowed 3.6 yards per carry, if you would have told me that the Bengals, like, gosh, let's see, forced a fumble, if you would have told me that the Lions punted 5 times, I would have been like, damn, the Bengals have a chance of winning this game. And the reality is they did. It's just really terrible play calling and Jake Browning throwing picks kept the Bengals from winning this game. And the game was nowhere near as close as the score indicated. There was the first safety that they got bailed out on by a penalty. The second safety, again, not on Jake Browning. That's a Dylan Fairchild situation. And all things considered, I'd love to see the PFF scores, but all things considered, woof. Glad I didn't go to this game. Let me tell you guys, giving up my Bengals season tickets was one of the best decisions I ever made. Because the Bengals do not know how to treat their players, their fans, their fan base, period. And that 21-point quarter will be enough for Bengals ownership to justify Zac Taylor staying, Zac Taylor calling plays, and Jake Browning starting for this team. That is the reality. There's a good chance I do another podcast in the middle of this week to kind of see how they address this. We'll see. I'll have some shorts up and stuff like that too. In that fourth quarter, there was an insane throw to Chase. Credit where it's due to Jake Browning. He extended the play and got that ball to Chase, and Chase is like one of a few, I like count on one hand, guys that are going to make that catch. Then there was an absolute bomb to Chase that we just don't see enough of. But that's because a lot of their secondary went down. We're being real. That's why. Andre Yoshivas had the best game he's had in ages. That man vanished to the point to where I was like, is this guy a wide receiver 3 at this point? He had his best game in ages. There was one play where he ran horizontally and extended the play and did really, really great. The wide receivers, like first off, Chase taking off, Chase making that catch, Yoshivas making that catch, incredible. T. Higgins making the kind of catch he did right before I had tweeted in the middle of the fourth quarter. It's like, man, he has 11 receptions this season through like into 5 games. What are we doing? Then they got him 2 and a touchdown. But I'm looking back for Yoshivas to see the last time he had a game like that. My gosh, man. That's one of the better games of his career outside of, some of those 2 touchdown games that he's had. Cuz he's, that's Yoshivas, right? Like he'll have 2 touchdowns and then he'll barely get a touch. Yoshi does have a good game. Shot Kid says, I genuinely feel bad for you as a Giants fan. I knew what this season was going to be with reconstruction. By contrast, thought the Bengals would have a bounce back year. Yeah, because their offense seemed good enough to outpace their terrible defense. And now it is a situation where I don't know what's going to happen. The offensive line is bad. The quarterback can't stay healthy. Honestly, I've got no concerns about wide receivers and tight ends. I don't think Gesicki's around next year. I think the Bengals kind of see that it's like, oh yeah, that method that we had before was all right, where it'd be like, hey, Hayden Hurst, you want to play here? There you go. Tanner Hudson, you want to catch 75% of your passes and like have some 60, 70-yard gains? Like games, yeah, we'll do that. The Bengals do really well with like placeholder tight ends, and Joe fell in love with one and had them spend $7 million that they didn't need to spend there, that they needed to spend on the defense or the offensive line. So I don't think that. But the offense, yeah. But Jackson Dart looks okay. Jackson Dart looks okay for the Giants. Glad to see that. Paying weapons in the offseason didn't prevent the team from improving. Just missing a bunch of draft classes is what screwed this team. Yes, Charles. At this point, who is it? Is it McKinley Jackson and Jermaine Burton are never active? At this point, like I'm saying, see if any team will take Jermaine Burton for their backup quarterback, please. Because let me tell you guys, there ain't a lot of good options out there on the free agent market. Like Trevor Siemian is there. If I would like the Bengals, honestly, to bring in Tyler Huntley. I think he's on a practice squad right now. I think he's on the Ravens practice squad. I would nope, actually, they activated him because Lamar Jackson is out. So no. Go figure. Go figure, right? How will the Bengals get your money? Ugh. Well, whenever Charles and Jeff come in, I'll go. I was supposed to go today with our friend Mona and her wonderful husband, and I'm glad I didn't go to that game. Under the weather, wouldn't have been good. Great game from a Lions fan. Y'all showed heart. Listen, y'all got a good team. The Lions are the Bengals of the AFC North. It's just y'all got money. Where's my guy Noah Fant? I think he's injured. So tired of Zac Taylor. Me too, buddy. Let me tell you about another thing I was tired of with Zac Taylor. Towards the end of the half, there is about 50 seconds left, and it's 4th down and 3, right? They want to do the draw off sides, but they let the clock tick the entire time. Then they kick the field goal. They had like 2 or 3 timeouts. So, no, that's not what you do. You call the timeout. You send your offense back out. You let the play clock run all the way down, and if they jump off sides, great, 1st down. But if not, then you call your timeout and you send the kicking unit out. Stupid. Weird. Meanwhile, believe this, the Bengals are 2nd in their division still. This was the year. And that's why teams like the Steelers will always come through and succeed. Because they don't quit. They were like, no, we're going to go out and get people. We're going to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. We'll get a plug-and-play quarterback. We'll go get Russell Wilson. We'll get Justin Fields. We're going to make it work. We're never going to settle. And they always try. Always try. There's a situation where you got to use a timeout because you didn't have enough players on the field on defense. Woof. Woof, man. Let's read some of these chats before we wrap up. Zac Taylor coaches like a coward. He does. And I think he's a lovely guy. He's a nice dude. Bengals are scared to throw over the middle. They sure are. They sure are. Meanwhile, Charles, you count on it on a third down, especially up the first 3 games of the season. That's the scouting report on the Bengals defense, is throw it over the middle, complete it, and there you go. I don't know why teams haven't done that. Even the Broncos didn't as much. But look at the Bengals defense the last 4 games. Ugh. What's the average here? Let me do some quick maths. Some maths here. They gave up 48, 27, then 48, then 28, then 37, and divided by 4. They given up 35 points a game. It's worse than last year. Worse than last year. Sean, y'all should get one of those Giants backups. At least you would have a chance. See, I see people say, oh, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. Yeah, it would matter. It would matter. You listen, throw a Jermaine Burton out there and see if if the Giants will bite. They're down Malik Neighbors right now. Say, hey, Giants, do you really need Jameis? Do you really need Russ Wilson? Here's Jermaine Burton. Maybe he can suit up for you guys. Just think of the Cincinnati Bengals head office next season when Burrow's healthy. You can say, look how our record is. So much better now. Buy tickets. That's what they do. Go get Jameis Winston. I wish they would. He would throw plenty of picks too, though. Chase saved Browning for now. He did. Jamar Chase single-handedly saved Jake Browning's head pretty much. Lions O-line didn't play well. Don't know why not attack Terry and Arnold. So, yeah, the Lions O-line did have some holes there. And I'm not hip to who they have available, but I was actually impressed by the Bengals O-line and Browning's ability to get away. Is the problem they're trying to make Browning play like Burrow? Shouldn't the offensive passing coach know what Jake Browning's limitations are? Well, Jake has an arm. He can launch the ball. And he can do a lot of the screen passes and bullshit like that. Pardon my language. But it comes down to the play calling of Zac Taylor, in my opinion. Into the Amazon was the worst throw I've seen by NFL and QB. I don't know what you mean there. Oh, the INT to Amazon. Okay. Yeah, it's pretty. He's got several of those too. Several of those. Also on defense, Cam Taylor-Britt absolutely cooked, absolutely washed. Geno Stone was very slow getting to people. It's just not good. In the first couple weeks, the Bengals had really made some stuff happen on that end. I'm glad they're playing younger players like Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. That's good. Chris Jenkins. But Bengals are in bad shape, guys. Could be worse, Sean. You could be a Yankees fan too. I am a Blue Jays fan as well, actually. I love the Reds, love the Blue Jays. And yes, of course, Jermaine Burton would have become a god on for the Giants after we traded him. Charles, this is a good point. Is the 35 points a game on the defense? It's a reflection of poor play calling and 14 turnovers. That's true. That is a very good point because Jake Browning did not throw picks last game, and they only gave up 28. Only gave up 28. Damn, here we are. And if somehow, listen, here's the wild thing. If the Bengals can somehow upset the Packers, ain't going to happen. And then beat the Steelers, ain't going to happen. They could beat the Jets. I think the Bengals are better than the Jets. First place, baby. First place, baby. Oh, Jesus Christ. Guys, I will be posting some shorts on this channel. I'm also going to start reviewing stadiums. I'm going to do them as I visit them, but I'll have some in the coming weeks because let's be real, guys. Not going to be a lot of great. I might save it. I might save it till the off season as off season content. That's what I think I'll do. But I'm trying to decide if I should do those live or if I should do those as like videos instead of live streams. Because I haven't streamed a lot in the off season, and I don't want to take like months off like I did. But what I committed to was I am absolutely streaming after every game this season. I am doing a post game show after every single game this season. And because last year I got to that Ravens game and I was so disgusted. I did the DraftKings watch along. Disappointing, hurt me, hated it. But yeah. Videos better for the algorithm. Yeah, I think I will. Because like I don't have like a lot of videos on this channel. Like I've got my welcome video, I got the reaction that I did. Live for Orlando Brown signing. There's the me and crew draft reaction. There's me bullying Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and other Browns fans. There's me confronting Baron Corbin. But yeah, I think I'll do those to kind of fill that out. But those will release whenever I feel like it, damn it. But I appreciate you guys. I don't do a lot of a lot of 25 plus minute streams, especially when things aren't going so hot. But it's common Bengals W, and it ain't going good, friends. But a bad day of football beats a good day of almost anything else. Till next time, we're out.